Roma, Nga Charlie Smith, Jong Benji, Georgia Strait. I'm the editor of the Georgia Strait newspaper in Vancouver, and I'm happy to be back for another week with WOW TV. This week in the news, we're seeing a great deal of reaction to an announcement by Premier Christy Clark that she wants to build a new bridge across the Fraser River. It would replace the George Massey Tunnel, and some of the people who, with a keen interest in transportation, are questioning whether this is the best investment that the government can make. Christy Clark said it would cost approximately the same as the new Port Mann Bridge, where there have been some ranges of prices, everything from $2.8 billion to $3.3 billion. So we're talking a lot of money. But what's happened in recent years, according to Gordon Price, who's a transportation expert at Simon Fraser University, is that traffic has actually diminished through the Massey Tunnel, which goes, past Dease Island, connecting, Richmond and Delta. So he's pointed out that between 2004 and 2008, traffic through the tunnel went down 7.5%. So you've got diminishing traffic, but the Premier wants a new bridge. Part of the reason for the bridge is that the tunnel is too high at low tide for the huge ships that are traveling up and down the Fraser River, because the plan is Port Metro Vancouver looks like they're going to be allowing the export of massive amounts of coal from Fraser docks. In addition, the Panamax oil tankers that are bringing jet fuel in also have to go past the tunnel. So some of the critics, including Harold Steeves, a councillor in Richmond, they're saying that this bridge is only being built because of shipping, and it's not about transportation at all in terms of moving vehicles and people from one side of the Lower Mainland to the other. So the bridge is a big issue, but it also comes at a time when TransLink has just come forward with information that they're losing massive amounts of money on another bridge, which is the Golden Ears Bridge. And the Golden Ears Bridge is between Langley and Pitt Meadows, and it's losing up to $45 million a year for TransLink. And this is interesting because it was built through a public-private partnership, and at the time, back in 2004, 2005, we were given assurances that this bridge would pay for itself. Well, the problem is traffic has gone down, and this is part of a broader phenomenon that's taking place in this region and also in Washington State, is people are driving less. So we're having major transportation decisions being made by governments based on assumptions that the driving will continue at the same pace as it has in the past. And this has been a subject of great research by a number of people. There's an organization called the Sightline Institute in Washington that has a whole series of articles pointing out how driving has declined. And on the Port Mann Bridge, for instance, the traffic peaked in 2005. It's been going down ever since. The Massey Tunnel, the traffic is going down. So you're getting governments building huge transportation infrastructure as fewer people are driving. Ken Greenberg, who's an architect and urban planning consultant in Toronto, he's pointed out that as people age, the aging baby boomers, they don't want to drive as much. And then what's happened with the young people is they're not getting driver's licenses at the same rate. So ICBC statistics, for instance, has shown a 10% drop in driver's licenses among the young people over about a 15-year period. UBC has been making this argument and pointing this information out because it wants rapid transit going down Broadway to UBC. So the Premier has made a decision to build a bridge to accommodate more vehicle traffic at a time when fewer people are driving and more people are taking the transit system. So the Premier had some choices. She could have said, we're going to have a light rail line in Surrey, which would connect Surrey Centre with Guildford, with Newton, and with Langley, which is what Surrey Council wants, or we could have a bridge to Delta. She had another choice. She could have built a rapid transit project down Broadway to UBC, which is one of the prime economic generators in the region. But no, she chose the bridge going across the Fraser River to Delta. This is actually going to be good news for the Tsawwassen First Nation because it's building a massive 1.2 million square foot shopping mall near the BC Ferry Terminal. So this bridge will facilitate the traffic to the shopping mall in Delta. And that's one of the reasons I think the mayor of Delta, Lois Jackson, is happy that this bridge is being built. But the mayor of Richmond, Malcolm Brody, has been expressing concerns about this bridge that the premier wants because he says all it's going to do is move the gridlock from the tunnel further up into Richmond going toward the Oak Street Bridge. And this is what often happens when you build bridges and new transportation infrastructure. It just moves the gridlock. So he's asking for more road improvements in Richmond between the Oak Street Bridge and the Massey Tunnel, which will be a bridge. So this is a huge issue in the region, and it also comes at a time when TransLink is suffering financially, and at the same time as the premier is talking about a referendum for any new transit expenditures. So that referendum is planned for 2014, but there's no referendum on the new bridge that's going to cross the Fraser River. And I don't think we've heard the end of this. I've been actually quite surprised that the opposition NDP has not been responding very vigorously to this issue because it's of great concern to people in the environmental community. And it also appears to contradict a lot of the research about people's driving habits. So we'll see where this thing goes. Another big provincial political story was the surprising revelation that NDP leader Adrian Dix had contacted the RCMP. He wrote a secret kind of note to the RCMP, a complaint, and that has triggered an investigation into the issues arising out of the multicultural outreach strategy. This was where the BC Liberal government was trying to figure out ways to win votes from people of diverse communities and different religions. And this multicultural outreach strategy used government resources, but it was designed to benefit the BC Liberal Party. So the BC Liberal Party paid $70,000 back to the government, but now we've learned that there's a police investigation, the RCMP, and a special prosecutor has been appointed, and that's David Butcher, who's a Vancouver lawyer. So special prosecutors are people who are separate from the Crown Council, which is part of the Ministry of Attorney General. One of the disputed elections actually occurred in Vancouver-Fraserview, where Gabrielle Yu was targeted by an ad campaign by a group called the Better BC Coalition. They were making claims that the NDP wanted to legalize marijuana, that the NDP didn't want to export natural gas to China, that the NDP would tax businesses that didn't make a profit. And Gabrielle Yu has said that this is all false. Well, Gabrielle Yu lost to Suzanne Anton in Vancouver-Fraserview of the BC Liberals, and then Christy Clark, the premier, appointed Suzanne Anton as the Attorney General. So Suzanne Anton's ministry is basically includes the prosecution service. So that's one of the reasons why there was a need to go outside and get an independent prosecutor. So he will work with the RCMP, and if the RCMP complete their investigation, he will make a determination whether any charges will be laid. Adrian Dix, the NDP leader, has not divulged the details of his complaint to the RCMP, except to say that it was about the multicultural outreach strategy and issues coming out of that. And the criminal justice branch within the Ministry of Attorney General has revealed that there are also concerns about potential violations of the Election Act. So this is very serious, and often these investigations take a lot of time to unfold, and it will be a cloud over the BC Liberal government for a while. Whether it amounts to anything or not, that remains to be seen.